Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to welcome you back to the Calling of a Ravenous Bird, episode 2. I'm so glad that you have tuned in again. If you haven't checked out the first installment, was the one about the warning to Australia, and mainly just a prophecy in the foreseeable future. Just particular in Darwin City, but also just also telling about the Australian, I should say, economic situation in the future because it's looking to be quite on a little bit of a how can I actually put it, fallible, maybe precarious situation perhaps, and yeah, it's looking like quite on thin ice, and for that reason, the main reason why God would always want us to prophesy is, well, if He asks you to, calls you to do it, like it happened in my case, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. I just feel like it's the deliberation and the sternness and the serious nature of it should always be taken into account, and particularly for the nations or the citizens concerned, or yeah, just all of us as God's children, really should always just be mindful of the whole situation and the greater picture, as to understand that we need to just always call into repentance and just draw on Him, just to get through the time. So this is not even to put attention onto me at all. It's just about me being an effective communicator. So, like I did say, in case you've missed out about me, my name is Crispy T. Quite obviously, you do see it, but yeah, my intro really and my background is really more of a musical one, and I came from professional services. So, this is not something I do as a career. This is just something, like I said, I'm just willing to do it, and because that's the meaning of my name, of my actual proper name, which is Tato, which means God's will. So, Lord willingly, I do this, and I'm just happy to give you the next round of messages. And this time, just away from the Australian thing, you can check that one out on episode 1. This time, we're touching back down on the South African context where I'm actually from. And I failed to mention on the video again, but I digress. Let's just get into this and cut to the chase. This is about this state owned enterprise, which is called Eskom, which is for our international viewers or anybody who's listening to this, it's our power generation utilities provider over here in South Africa. And what they do really is that they do supply electricity, but the main thing here with us is that they're government owned and controlled, and they're the solitary provider, as in the only one. So they pretty much have a monopoly in the industries. Yes, there are exceptions, and especially if you choose to go off the grid, there are alternative power solutions. But for the most part, in terms of providing subscription and well, it's not really a subscription, but a monthly bill and yeah, maintenance fees. You always have to pay your municipality, who normally pay over to Eskom, and even on that end, there's malfeasances, and it's quite riddled with corruption. Just like every other organ of state here in South Africa, it's just one of those things. But over here, what everywhere else in the world regard as a rolling blackout, we in South Africa have seemed to have, thanks to the ANC, which is the African National Congress, and they're the ruling party over here. They've turned rolling blackouts and given it a new term, and it's called load shedding. So load shedding is pretty much a reality, which really started in just prior to when was the World Cup that was held here, 2010. So I'm thinking maybe from 2009 or something. It might have been termed then, or it might have been termed that year, where it was actually given a name. So it could even be earlier, 2007. But yeah, well, I remember that when I was still in varsity, there was actually a rolling blackout, and it started around 2004, 2003, and that was mainly in the winter times. And I still remember that. I'll never forget it. That during the winter, what they decided to do was get a backup generator. So it was something that was always there, and but at the time, it was more the effect of the fact that we grew the economy, and the economy was growing, and unfortunately we just did not make do with extra capacity and extra backup generators. So the infrastructure was just not really ready quite as yet for the and could not match the growth at the time. So it's been a reality, and it's just that it came into full force around 2010 when we had Jacob Zuma. But yeah, so when that happened, there was a whole lot of call of corruption in any case. So yeah, because of the fact that our power supply is so irregular, well, it can be quite irregular at times in certain areas, and it's fortunately in my area it's not too bad. But I do live in a fairly well off suburb, so yeah, I've been fortunate enough to do that. So fortunately, been blessed with that, and it's not too bad, but it can get quite frustrating, especially when there are times when they just hit you consecutively, like week after week, or yeah, sometimes a few days in succession, and they just follow a plan. Sometimes they don't follow it, and then they call it something else, maintenance or whatever it is, and trying to repair electrical cables or cable theft, or all those funny terms that us South Africans have become quite akin to. It's been quite challenging, and it's been a concern of mine, particularly that I worry about my grandmother, and who I'm fortunate enough to still have, and thinking about, okay, how do we go off the grid? And this was just one concern that came to my heart. But and I can't really remember reaching God in prayer as such, but I may have said it to him, where I mentioned it to him. I kind of remember that I may have a moment that, how do we get past this? Because what is the best solution? How do I get myself off the grid? And the main thing, and the main thing was I was just concerned mainly about just my parents, about, well, my mother, my grandmother. So it was mainly just an alternative solution. I was just seeking a solution, But here's the unforeseen thing. I did not even expect an answer, but yeah, God answers, eh? So this is what happened. It came in the form of a vision, and I should just describe this vision to you guys. Like so. So what happened? It was This vision was given to me, and as to the Lord's response, it was actually on Monday, the 6th of July of 2020, just the last year. And what I saw there was in my suburb, which is within Alberton, which is where I live, we're not going to load shed. Now, there was a power surge in the vision, which was restored immediately. And it panned away, and I was actually in my pantry in the vision itself. So it panned away, and from that vision, and then all of a sudden it started showing a street view. I started getting of electrical technicians who were servicing houses all around my neighborhood and offering power solutions to counteract and in lieu of load shedding. So in other words, that what was going on, because here we have garden services, right, where we pay a, the garden service provider who come in, do lawn maintenance, and then they go on a weekly basis. So this was like the business model that was going to be applicable to my particular suburb here. Okay. And now these electrical technicians, right, had a minibus, like a minibus van or SUV for my American counterparts. And the SUVs or their minibuses or their vans had a heart symbol, like on the side of them, where normally you put your company logo. That's where it was, and it was just a heart symbol. Basically, and what I saw on that was it was more symbolizing that they were doing it out of care and love. So yeah, now the strange thing was, okay, I was wondering what that meant. So 3 days after that vision, okay, I had a surge, but it was only for like a second or so, right? And I was thinking, oh, here we go, another load shedding, but we didn't load shed. But then this is the funny thing. I just saw it because I knew eventually it's gonna happen, but which it did in the months following that. But all I know is that I had that surge for just a second, and I just saw it as a sign from God Himself, just saying He will deliver on His promise and provide on that. So it was very interesting that He gave me that vision of that surge 3 days before that. So I just want to give some scriptural reference to 1 Peter, which is 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 7, and this is where I say, just like what I did, cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. Okay. God also told me, right, in another dream, and this was something a little bit unrelated, that I should not move away from my suburb and in the foreseeable future. Now, I've been planning a way just to move out for yeah, just for the short term, and mainly to be closer to my varsity and to my studies and all that stuff. Because I kind of figured, well, I've outgrown the nest and I have not left the nest. There's no real shame in that. I just want to tell everybody that I'm 37. I have not moved out of home as yet. It just has not happened for me, and you'd think that yeah, I don't know, sometimes it used to get to me, but not as on. And when I actually realize in greater perspective that I've actually been very fortunate that that did not happen, because considering my level of maturity at the time, I could have been up to really stupid things. So I'm glad that did not happen. But everything in God's perfect timing, eh? So yeah, and in that dream, God just told me in a separate dream, which was like it was about something else. It was more pertaining to my studies, but He said I should not move far away from home, basically. And it was one of those things where it's just reinforced, and I kind of tied that in, and I actually saw that, when a small communication that I had with the Most High, that the main reason was pertaining to this situation that I was also worried about, that if I move too far away, it will, it might vary, and I might have to seek another solution if I move too far away from the suburb itself. Let's say I go to the next suburb, it could be something else, or if I move to another town, it would be the other problem. So, but best do not stray too far away. You don't stray. When God tells you something, you do it. And that's one thing I've just seen, that I should not be creating my own. Um, yeah, just creating my own plans. Otherwise, I'll also be inviting different kinds of problems that I was never supposed to encounter, and at that point I may just be on my own until I come back to the original plan. So that's not something I want to do. And yeah, so what I'm saying to this, and in reference to 1 Peter 5:7 there, about casting all your anxiety on God, is that mainly, guys, it's just that, just be cognizant of the fact that in South Africa, this power grid situation, it could vary. What may work in my area will not work in another area, and it could vary town to town, city to city, depending where you are anywhere in South Africa. So what I'm saying is just drawn in so to show you the solution for your particular situation. Okay. So and another scripture I'm going to leave you with here, and I'll put all these scriptures and stuff in the text box, or just yeah, over here on the links and all that stuff to my blog and everything. And I'm just going to leave here where I'm going to say it for Luke 12 verse 7, where it says, but the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore you have more value than many sparrows. So if he can count, if he knows every single every single number of hairs on your head. I mean, there's nothing he would not know about you and your situation. So please do draw to spirit and yeah, come through in prayer. And yes, if I can be of any help in helping you in that, please do contact me. Yeah, leave comments in in the comment section, and I'll chat to you soon. Later, people. Bye bye.